It's time to rank the first 5 fights from Record of Ragnarok. Take note that ranking a fight as the worst so far doesn't mean it's bad. In my opinion, Record of Ragnarok has some of the best fights in all of manga, and I'd consider every fight in the series thus far to be top tier greatness. Hopefully when the anime comes out, they give the manga some justice with amazing looking fights alongside the ability to enhance the fights with fire OSTs and amazing animation. Now onto the ranking. Be a mad lad by subscribing and joining the superior side, helping me reach my 2021 goal of 100k subscribers. I also have a Patreon for people who want various benefits while supporting the channel directly, alongside the Discord server and my Twitter. That's all linked in the description. Now enjoy the video. So the two worst fights in my opinion so far go to Thor vs Yubu, the first fight in the series, and Shiva vs Raiden, the fifth and most recent fight in the series. The worst so far is definitely between those two. I'm not 100% sure which one I'm going to give it to, but I'm going to say Shiva vs Raiden in today's video. A main reason behind that is I didn't really care too much about Shiva or Raiden. I was pretty neutral on both characters and didn't want or prefer one character to win over another for the most part. Near the end, I did kind of want Raiden to win due to the sheer amount of Shiva fans and how many people want to compare him to the mythology and religion in our world rather than what he did in the series. But regardless, I wouldn't say either of the two are in my top favorite characters in the series so far. The fight itself started off a lot weaker than what it ended. I did enjoy the last few chapters of the fight a lot better than what I did the earlier parts in the beginning of the fight. It pretty much started out with Raiden honestly stomping Shiva for the large majority of the fight until the last few chapters where it kind of evened out. Shiva got a little bit of an advantage at times, Raiden took it back. It was a more back and forth fight near the end rather than Raiden stomping at the start. And then we have the backstories which are meant to enhance the fight. Shiva's backstory reminded me of a typical shonen protagonist. Wasn't the worst. I didn't really care for it. Raiden's second backstory was pretty good. The first one I didn't care too much about, but his second one I do have to agree was a pretty good backstory, but still didn't care too much about it. Well, I do agree they enhanced the characters. I don't think they enhanced the fight too much in my opinion, but as a whole, Shiva vs Raiden in my opinion is my least favorite fight so far. Feel free to disagree with me down in the comments. And then we have Thor vs Yubu. I was gonna rank this as the worst, but I think it was a pretty good fight for the opening fight of the series and to get people into reading Record of Ragnarok. It features Thor, who is one of the most well-known gods in the whole world. Everyone knows who Thor is. And Yubu, who I personally wasn't too aware of, but I think the story did a good job in explaining who Yubu is and having a crazy human to fight first for humanity. And the designs of Thor and Yubu are also pretty badass in my opinion. Shiva and Raiden didn't have terrible designs, but I would prefer Thor and Yubu's designs over theirs. Both of the characters' backstories also linked pretty well to the fight, with Yubu's introduction of his ultimate ability, the Sky Eater, and how his whole life he wanted to fight a worthy opponent, and that's what he's getting in this fight against Thor. Then Thor's backstory, which did pretty well in introducing and hyping up the overwhelming power of the god, and Thor himself with his hammer getting introduced alongside some of his abilities. Then the fight itself was also pretty decent and served pretty well as the introduction fight to the series, with Thor being ignorant, not really caring too much about the human, thinking he can just stomp and win, to find out that Yubu is actually pretty strong and causing him to get serious and use his ultimate attack to win the fight, and Yubu finally getting what he wanted his whole life, a worthy opponent that's actually stronger than him, and he was defeated, which was pretty much the greatest gift he could have ever received, which is also pretty cool and pretty badass in my opinion. Thor vs Yubu did some things well, so did Shiva vs Raiden. They're both pretty interchangeable in my opinion. I could very well rate Thor and Yubu as the worst fight so far, and then Shiva after that. Let me know your thoughts on the two fights down in the comments. Now on to rank 3, which I have Poseidon vs Sasaki Kojiro. So this fight had the first win for humanity, Sasaki being an absolute badass, with him pretty much being the underdog most of the fight, with the whole fight building up to his very engaging and hype win against Poseidon, with Poseidon being a very unlikable character, with him having that role and embracing that role pretty well. I don't know too many Poseidon fans. He's meant to be hated by humans, and I think the author did a good job in presenting Poseidon that way, and for most people to root for Sasaki to get the first win against the gods. The backstory of Poseidon served to showcase his power, and again the power of the gods, and more so how much Poseidon dislikes humanity, and actually the power of him, with him actually killing another god, his brother Adamas, during the backstory. And then Sasaki's backstory, which is one of the weaker ones, but it does enhance his character and the fight somewhat, with all the losses, history's greatest loser, everything about that. His final fight against Miyamoto, which, you know, has major importance in Sasaki defeating Poseidon at the end. Everything about the fight was very well done in my opinion, and I cannot wait to see the final moments of this fight in the anime. It's going to be absolute hype. Now, rank 1 and 2. I'll consider the last two fights in today's video to be a step above the previous ones, as these two are pretty interchangeable in my opinion as well, but these two so far are the best fights in the series in my opinion. At rank 2, I'm going to have Hercules versus Jack. So Jack the Ripper is my favorite character so far in the series, an absolute badass. Hercules I didn't care too much about, but he did kinda get the shonen protagonist, you know, role during this fight, which he portrayed well, and he became a very likable character. Another appealing aspect about this fight was the battle of ideologies, which I also greatly enjoy in various anime and manga that I consider the best, alongside the uniqueness of the fight, with Jack the Ripper using tactics to win the fight solely. Unlike all the other fights, which mostly weigh on raw power and various abilities during the fight, Jack used strategy to win against someone who absolutely destroys him in physical attributes. And this fight also took place in London, which was a unique, you know, artistic, and actually enhanced the fight in my opinion, with the whole, you know, Jack using tactics, he's using the whole of London to defeat a god. Absolutely hype and insanity. Then we also had the backstories of both Jack and Hercules being top tier in my opinion, some of the best two backstories in the whole series so far, which also enhanced the battle of ideologies that was going on during the fight, making this fight in my opinion one of the best, if not the best, in the series so far. Hopefully we get more fights in this type of way later on in the series. Now we have my current rank 1, which could be changed with rank 2, but right now I'm saying Adam vs Zeus is my favorite fight, and the fight I consider to be the best so far in Record of Ragnarok. A lot of people most likely agree with me. Adam vs Zeus was hype to the next level. Everyone loves Adam. I really enjoyed Zeus during this fight, even though his backstory as well as Adam's backstory were on the weaker side compared to other characters like Jack the Ripper and Hercules and stuff like that, but still their fight was honestly next level. It was a true battle of gods versus the peak of humanity. The peak of the gods was the peak of humanity. Absolute hype. I cannot wait to see this fight in the anime. It's gonna maybe even break the internet of how next level is going to be. This fight had really everything you could want. It had emotion, it had hype moments, had, you know, next level rememberable lines from Adam that most people most likely have already commented on today's video. Just everything about Adam vs Zeus was greatness. Can't wait to see it in the anime. And yep, that's my ranking for the 5 fights so far in Record of Ragnarok. Let me know your ranking down in the comments, and yep, that's it guys. Peace.